Hello and welcome to the daily cricket show, Cricket Happenings. Yes, dear friends and subscribers, unfortunately, you guys are putting up with me because of, I'm having a real sore throat from last week, as you know. Um, and But it's always a pleasure talking on this Cricket Happenings show, despite the sore throat that I have. I don't mind coming here and speaking for 15 minutes, as cricket is something when I speak, it really flows naturally for me. I think I am blessed by Almighty to actually have this sort of talent where just sitting in front of the camera, I can wax eloquent on cricket. Well, so let's start the game here on the Cricket Happening show, dear friends and subscribers. There are two matches. One is the South Africa versus Australia. As I said yesterday, Australia in the driver's seat, and today they had a good quick start. It was really interesting to see, as I tweeted, whether it would be an aggressive stroke play or what it could be. And what one saw was it was aggressive stroke play at the beginning, but the South African bowlers hit back and they managed to keep the Aussies when bad light stopped play on the third day at 213 for 6. So good job done by the South African bowlers, but due to the cushion of a lead that the Aussies had, they were 402 runs ahead, and definitely, you know, with only 2 more days to go, it is really looking very difficult for South Africa here. So that is one match that is on third day's play. The match summary is something that I will be talking about, and also there was a very exciting match that happened in the third one-day international between England and New Zealand, played at the Westpac Stadium, as we call it, the Cake Tin, due to the shape of the ground. Kane Williamson went on to make a century. In fact, it was a pitch which definitely was definitely in favor of the bowlers. It had something in it for the seamers. It had something in it for the spinners. And batting was something, I would say driving was not really easy on this particular pitch. And what one saw here is that the England made 230 odd runs, and New Zealand were chasing that particular target. 5 overs, 36 required. Kane Williamson was really leading the side very well, and he got a century. But unfortunately, when the runs were required, in fact they lost the match by only 4 runs. So that will really tell you the story as to Kane Williamson could not have the last ball. They required a boundary, and Kane Williamson had a pull at Chris Wokes, and unfortunately he did not connect, and the wicketkeeper took it, and it was all over. And England were the victors. England took a 2-1 lead in this ODI series, the 5-match ODI series. And also the Pakistan Super League updates. There was a hat-trick today. It was the second hat-trick. Yesterday we saw the first super over in Pakistan Super League history, and today we had the second hat-trick of the tournament. This was done by Imran Tahir, as Imran Tahir for the Multan Sultans took a hat-trick against the Quetta Gladiators, and Multan Sultans had a walk in the park victory after restricting the Quetta Gladiators to 102, and they won the match by 9 wickets. And as far as the other match, I'm told, just giving you a live cricket update here. As far as the live cricket update goes, there is one particular match which is just one innings is just over, and I can give you a live cricket update here coming from the Pakistan Super League 2018 in Sharjah, where the Lahore Qalandars have been bowled out for just 100 runs, and the Peshawar Zalmi in the third over, the score reads 11 for no loss of 2.2 overs. So I will come back to that. But first, let's talk about the Australia versus South Africa game, the third day's play at the Kingsmead in Durban today. So it all started off with the Aussies, as I said, absolutely on the driver's seat, no doubt about it. And let's have a look at what the. I'm just going to come back here, dear friends and subscribers. I'm just going to refresh the page here. Just wanting to see, it was the fifth. As I said, this was the third day's play at the Kingsmead in Durban, where I thought the South African bowlers did a very, very good job. So Australia started off with a cushion of a lead of 189 runs in the first innings. Cameron Bancroft and David Warner opened the innings, and it was a nice start. Cameron Bancroft was looking, having a very different approach to what he did, and that was Cameron Bancroft. Normally is a very, very stodgy player, likes to occupy the crease. Today Bancroft decided to play strokes. Probably Australians had a game plan there, with David Warner on the other hand also playing some strokes. And then finally the first wicket to go was David Warner. After a 50-run stand was put between the openers David Warner and Cameron Bancroft. David Warner tried to flick a delivery from Kagiso Rabada, could not keep it down. Mulder, the substitute all-rounder, was into business there, pulling off that catch. So Warner was gone for 28 with 4 boundaries. Usman Khawaja came in and joined Cameron Bancroft. As I said, Cameron Bancroft was today playing with lots of confidence. He was driving the ball sweetly, timing the ball very well. At the other end, Usman Khawaja was there. But Usman Khawaja was an early goner, as he tried to actually reverse sweep a delivery from Keshav Maharaj, the left arm spinner, and he gifted his wicket. He was caught by Quinton de Kock for 6 with 1 boundary. Cameron Bancroft, after doing a very, very good job of scoring 53 with 10 boundaries, fell a victim when Cameron Bancroft left his crease. In fact, it was a good delivery from Maharaj, which was slipped in a bit wide, a bit outside his stumps, and Cameron Bancroft wanted to have a real go at it, and in the process Quinton de Kock whipped off the bails. So Cameron Bancroft was drawn out to Maharaj for 53, and the score at 108 for 3 at that stage. And then we had Steven Smith, the skipper, at the crease, and Shaun Marsh. So once again, like in the previous innings, Steven Smith and Shaun Marsh combined well and started putting up a stitching together partnership. From 108, they pushed on the score to 146, and one saw a sort of a captaincy from, as you know, Steven Smith and Shaun Marsh were chiseling together a partnership. Du Plessis, the South African captain, decided to toss the ball to Dean Elgar, and Dean Elgar responded in the very first over. He got a very, very big fish there, and Steven Smith was looking very good on 38 with 3 boundaries, was trying to sweep Elgar, and he was adjudged LBW to Elgar, and Elgar has now taken Steven Smith's wicket 2 times. So he was gone for 38. Shaun Marsh was joined in by Mitchell Marsh. This time Mitchell Marsh's brother could not do anything big, as it was Kagiso Rabada who picked up his wicket pretty quickly for 6. Mitchell Marsh was caught by Amla, bowled Rabada, 6 with 1 boundary. Payne was sent back to the pavilion by Maharaj when De Villiers took a catch in the slips. He was gone for 14 with 1 boundary. Shaun Marsh, after doing a good job, was joined in by Pat Cummins at that stage, but Shaun Marsh could not last anymore. Shaun Marsh, after making 33 with 5 boundaries, Morne Morkel getting him caught by De Villiers. Cummins was there. Cummins, as in the previous innings, tried to occupy the crease, but he definitely hit 1-4 and 1-6, and he was the one who was not out on 17, because Morkel completed the formalities when he forced Mitchell Starc to actually edge one on to Elgar in the slips, out for 7 with 1 boundary. Nathan Lyon was caught by Amla low down by Amla or the bowling over. Very good catch taken by Amla. I thought he was gone for 2. Cummins was not out on 17. Hazelwood came in and had a firm push for a boundary of the bowling of Morkel, and that was the time the light was deemed a bit bad to play on, and play had to be called off as an early end to the third day at Kingsmead in Durban, where the Aussies scored at 213 for 9. Basically, they were 402 runs ahead going into the morrow. That's on the fourth day. Definitely, South Africans definitely bowled well. Definite credit to them. But Aussies having the cushion of a lead really rode on very well, even though they lost wickets. Morne Morkel did a wonderful job. As you know, he had 294 wickets, and now I'm sure he's adding it to that. So it's a fact that Morne Morkel is definitely going to get to his coveted mark of 300 wickets very quickly in his last series. For South Africa. 13.4 overs, 4 maidens, 42 runs and 3 wickets for Morne Morkel. Keshav Maharaj did a wonderful job. 28 overs, 4 maidens, 93 runs and 3 wickets. Philander 14 overs, 4 maidens, 35 runs and no wicket as usual, bowling in that miserly fashion. Rabada 13 overs, 5 maidens, 2 for 28, took some vital scalps in the morning. Elgar 3 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 10. So that's the match situation here on the third day at the Kingsmead Stadium in Durban, where definitely the South Africans are really under the cosh right now. So let's talk about the next game. We now go on to the third one-day international that was played between England and New Zealand. It was played at the Westpac Stadium. As I said, it is known as a cake tin because of the shape that the ground has. And it was a match which was played and England were the ones who actually batted first. England batted first, and Jason Roy and Jonathan Barrister as usual opened the innings, but it was, as I said, this pitch, what one saw was that it was not easy to play the strokes. The driving was quite difficult on this wicket, and Trent Boult drew first blood for New Zealand. In fact, he drew first blood for New Zealand when he picked up the wicket of Jason Roy. Jason Roy was the first to go. Caught Guptill bowled for 15 with 2 boundaries. So definitely Jason Roy is not having a very good ODI series against New Zealand here. Joe Root came in and joined Jonathan Barristow, and slowly they started just settling matters as the score moved by another 25-28 runs to 53 when it was Grant Holm who actually had the wicket of Joe Root, out for 20 of 22 deliveries, 3 fours. Morgan came in and joined Jonathan Barristow, and the spinners Ish Sodhi was into business early on as he clean bowled Jonathan Barristow for 19 of 39 deliveries with 1 4. After that, they definitely, that was the time when England were in some sort of trouble at 68 for 3 when Barristow departed. But after that, there was a nice little stand that happened of 71 runs, in which Morgan definitely was the one who was more aggressive than Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes decided to play a sort of a waiting game. He decided to hold the England innings along in the company of Morgan, which was a bit unusual, but Ben Stokes has done it in the past as well. And then it was Tim Southee who actually forced Morgan to leave his crease, in the sense he tried to give himself room outside the off stump, but Southee had already, the ball had already gone on to hit the timber, and Morgan was gone bowled by Southee for 48 of 71 deliveries, 3 fours and 1 6. Josh Butler's contribution was 29 of 23 balls, 3 fours, 1 6. Ben Stokes played a hand, he made 39 of 73 balls, 2 fours, and unlike a Ben Stokes innings, but nevertheless he tried to hit Sodhi, and Munro took the catch. Butler was gone for 29. Moeen Ali's contribution was 23 of 19, 2 fours. Chris Wokes making 16 of 15 with 2 boundaries. Adil Rashid was run out on 11. Karan Demain not out on 2. Mark Wood was run out for 1. As the England innings came to a close on 234. So they were all out for 234. As I said, it was not an easy pitch to bat on, and the bowlers were the one who ruled the roost here. Tim Southee, 10 overs, no maiden, 1 for 48. Trent Boult, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 47. bowled well. Santner 2 overs for 12 runs was not used later, and Colin Munro was given the trundle, 8 overs none for 46. Colin D. Granholm bowled a very economical spell of 10 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 24. That's Ish Sodhi. We have seen in this leg spinner Ish Sodhi that he normally, being a leg spinner, definitely tends to give away runs. But the good news is that he picks up the wickets. 10 overs, no maiden, 53 runs and 3 wickets for Ish Sodhi. So, and New Zealand were now given a target of 235 runs to win the match. And let's see what New Zealand did. So Martin Guptill and Colin Munro opened the innings. The going was not easy, as I said, since stroke making was quite difficult. They had to be a bit watchful. Vokes provided them a quick breakthrough when Martin Guptill was out for 3 of 4 deliveries. Williamson joined Colin Munro. Colin Munro also had to guard against playing some airy-fairy strokes, and as I said, the pitch was not conducive to stroke making. And then Adil Rashid was introduced into the attack, and Adil Rashid picked up the wicket. The score read 80 for 2 when 80 for 1 when Munro's wicket was capped. Now this was really a start of the spinners, because once Adil Rashid and the other bowler Moeen Ali were in the equation, they totally not only throttled New Zealand batting, but they started picking up wickets, and there was a really a big collapse. They were sailing at 80 for 1 in the 18th over, and after that, if one looks at the scorecard, they were reduced to 103 for 6 when Grandholm was out. So the first one to go was Colin Munro. He was a victim of the bowling of Adil Rashid for 49 of 62 deliveries, 7 boundaries. Kane Williamson was there at the other end guarding the New Zealand innings. Chapman tried to slap a ball through the point region of the bowling of Moeen Ali, and he was caught by Morgan for 8 of 14 deliveries, 1-4. Ali trapped Latham LBW for naught. Henry Nicholls was totally fooled by a leg break from Adil Rashid for naught. Another one in the New Zealand team, the Henry Nicholls, who has not been able to hit the form at all. He has been really struggling. Colin D. Granholm was taken by Vokes of the bowling of Ali for 3 to leave this the New Zealand innings in all sorts of trouble at 103 for 6, with the only saving grace being Kane Williamson, who was at the crease. And now Mitchell Santner walked in to join Kane Williamson. Kane Williamson was trying to, he was basically trying to pace his innings, and Mitchell Santner joined him. Santner started giving him very good company, and finally they had done the hard job, and they had brought the team actually closer to victory with the score reading 199. So basically they required 36 runs of the last 5 overs, and that was the time. Now this was a sort of a really turning point of the game. Chris Vokes was the bowler, Kane Williamson was the batsman, and Kane Williamson driving the ball to Chris Vokes, and Chris Vokes probably getting a finger onto it to see, and what a bit of, I would say, very unfortunate for Mitchell Santner that he had left the crease and the ball actually hitting the fingertips of Chris Vokes and rolling on to drop the bails, and Santner was run out for 41 of 54 balls with 3 fours, and that really added some pressure on the New Zealand batting. And then finally it was left to Kane Williamson to see to it that he takes his team to victory. But Saudi's wicket was taken. Cott Stokes bowled Vokes for 7 of 8 balls with 1-4, and Kane Williamson was at the firing line, I would say, as Chris Vokes was really bowling the first ball that in fact they required I think it was around 9 or 10 runs for victory, and Kane Williamson hit the very first ball that he received for a 6 to start off proceedings. But after that, Chris Vokes was right on the money. He was giving nothing away. He forced Kane Williamson to play a ball onto the fielder directly, and the last ball the equation had come where 4 runs were required. So it was very good bowling from Chris Woakes. First he had Williamson hitting him for a 6, and after that he kept it very tight for the next 4 balls. And finally, all that Kane Williamson needed a boundary, they needed 3 runs to level, but a boundary was required, and just a boundary was required to even level the scores, I would say. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, as Williamson failed to connect and that delivery. I mean, Chris Woakes, I thought, was very good thinking on his part, that he started really bowling in a very smart manner and forced Kane Williamson to have a go at it, which was the only way to go, and Kane Williamson missed it. But what an innings from Kane Williamson, but to no avail, as he remained not out on 112 of 143 deliveries, 6 fours and 2 6s, and the New Zealanders lost the match by just 4 runs, as the score read 230 for 8. As far as the bowling was concerned, Chris Woakes, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 40. Brilliant bowling from Chris Woakes, I thought, especially in that final over to Kane Williamson after being hit for a 6 of the very first ball that he bowled in the final over. Mark Wood, 6 overs, none for 36. Tom Curran, 7 overs, none for 49, was a bit costly. Ben Stokes, 6 overs, none for 27. And look at that spinners who came into that middle order and reduced the Kiwis from 80 for 1 to 102 for 6. That was brilliant bowling from the Adil Rashid. 10 overs, 1 maiden, 34 runs and 2 wickets for Adil Rashid. Moeen Ali, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 36 runs and 3 wickets to go with his batting of 23 odd runs, which gave him the man of the match. Joe Root, 1 over, no maiden, none for 7. And as the match ended, it was England who had taken a 2-1 lead in this 5-match ODI series. So a very quick sneak peek, I would say. As I said, the Multan Sultans have already won the match against that particular team in the Pakistan Super League. Imran Tahir taking a hat-trick. So that is something that I wanted to share. And at the other end, there is one more match going on. And tomorrow, as we all know, the ICC World Cup qualifiers in Zimbabwe really get a real start there. Well, dear fans, and these are the teams which would be vying 2 spots. They would be vying for the 2 spots which are vacant for the World Cup 2019. Well, dear fans and subscribers, always a pleasure bringing you this daily cricket show every day, and I hope you all loved it. And with more to come on my next cricket broadcast, this is your host Ram signing off for the day. Thank you.